everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Bearded Conversations podcast. This is episode 4, and we're going to be talking about the topic false rape accusations. So, before I jump into that, I want to chat with my people, man. I want to chat with my co-host, man. Everybody good?
Yes, my brother. What's going on?
Yes.
Big up to the listeners of the Bearded Podcast.
Exactly. So before I jump in, I want to give a little recognition to Kwame. He's one of the co-hosts, and he's writing a book. Well, he has written a book, and it's soon out there. So Kwame, give us a little bit of details, man. How we could access it and all of that.
Well, right now, I've started to upload a snippet of it onto Wattpad, and I've been sharing the link via my Instagram, my Facebook, my WhatsApp, basically my social platforms. And I just want to give people a general taste of what it is that I am doing, what is to come, because I know a lot of people have been waiting for me to finish this book. I was reading this book for quite a lengthy period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just an effort to let people know, yeah, it's a work in progress. This is what I got right now. Just give them a little taste, you know?
Yeah, well, that is a good thing, and we would obviously put a link to the Wattpad version of that book. You said is like 3 chapters, right?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, the first 3 chapters, a little snippet, a little taste, so that you guys could jump in and when the full thing comes out to buy a copy. So we're gonna put that onto the description for the podcast. A link would be there so that you guys could access it. And we're all about men doing positive things. That's what it's all about. Positivity. Because at the end of the day, you could be doing other things. You could be breaking into people's houses. You could be interfering with somebody girl. But nah, you're doing something positive. So we got to large that off and give them the a decent amount of respect for it. I don't know why my brain operating in the way that I operating. It must be because it on vacation. But don't forget, we have the others are doing stuff as well. I'm gonna plug every single episode. Darian has his own podcast, the Anything Goes podcast. You could go and check that out over on YouTube. Chad has his own podcast as well, the Up Inside Your Podcast. And you can check that out over on Instagram every Thursday at 8 p.m. Pass through. Definitely. If you enjoyed the conversation here or Bearded Conversations, you're going to enjoy the conversation over on Up Inside Your Podcast. So go across, give that a check. And Zane is our resident barber. So go across and give his page a check. Zane is Ivory Cuts. Listen, whoever that the barber that you get into currently is trash. So go across to Zane, and Zane can start you out proper. So Zane is Ivory Cuts over on Instagram. Go across, make an appointment, make sure that you get sorted out. You don't want to be looking too shabby during this
may get beat from the barber now. Some barbers just get vexed and gonna get a haircut for somebody else, yeah.
He don't understand the sensitive nature of this work, boy.
Man, it's real. It's been some boss work over the work, boy. Man, get screwed. We get big man.
Very sensitive.
You went and listen boss, mess up my yo, my chair. I see that happen already.
As you mentioned, boy, you can hire your barber. You can hire your woman, but you can't hire your barber. That's he saying.
Ah, boy. You want to harm your barber or the person that's cooked your food?
Or tailor, boy. You don't mess with your tailor neither.
True.
Are they?
But you know, if your barber was looking a little bit shabby, like the situation that I had before I ended up getting across a brother's ready body telling me that my hair shit odd, so that's why they can't lay me up properly. You walk across to a barber, that can start it out nicely. So know that we offer all of the promo. No, we offer all of the
Hold on,
promo.
T.
Yeah.
That should I look straight to you?
Hold on 1 second, T.
Don't
I just
tell me
want
about my head.
I
How
want
he
to
could do that, boy?
I just want to in defense of that barber, whoever he may be. I assume he or she may have been inexperienced at the time, but aside from their inexperience, let me just say for the record, having cut your hair, you had shit funny for you.
You might confirm it.
Listen, no
That's
support.
all I can say. I did
No
Not
support.
nice.
I did right. Especially
None,
Chabak.
boy.
You got interesting Chabak. Yeah, you know.
You got CRTV, boy.
Yo, the man just make it.
That'll
The
trigger
man
not.
just make
That'll
it.
trigger not.
You got
Man
that
just
was
make it
minute what big
smart.
back TVs.
Yeah, boy. That's what the man saying that my head look like. Let me just jump straight into the topic. Ignore all the gaffes that going my way. We want to talk about the sensitive topic of false rape accusations. So let me just put this disclaimer out here, because I know the first thing that people say to try to dismiss false rape accusations is that, oh man, it doesn't happen a lot. Only 5% of all of the reported rape accusations are actually false. But look, for many of us here saying don't having this conversation, in our livelihoods we may not get hit by a car. They got a whole set of other things that may not happen to us. But at the end of the day, you will still be fearful of those things actually happening to you. So another thing that comes up as well, and this is trying to dismiss the argument. Look, a lot of things that happen to men do not openly speak about. So somebody may be falsely accused of rape, and the mere fact that the situation is the cards are so stacked against you, you don't do anything about it. And this is what this podcast is for. So if you've been falsely accused of rape, guys, go out there and go and fight as hard as possible, because people are going to say, hey, listen, man, well, you ain't get falsely accused, you must do it, and all sorts of different things. Because in this day and age now, we are at the point where people believe that is an inherent trait within men to be rapey or not understand the consent that women give in terms of sex. So of course we're gonna cover all of that in our rape episode, and we can show you that there are some guys who are aware and who want to be aware, but it's not an inherent trait. If you decide that you want to accuse somebody of rape, and you know that you haven't been raped, to me you're a horrible person. That's just how I see it. So know that all of that is out of the way. I want to hear the opinions of the others. What do you guys think about false rape accusation?
I could get a chance to start now, or I go
Yeah. You ain't gonna last this toss out, Chad.
Oh, give thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, let me just say a special good evening to the people yet again, the listeners of the Bearded Conversation. For me, this is a topic that I keep close to myself because of the reality that I think a lot of men are unaware. And when I say unaware, I'm speaking about people like myself, because I live a particular lifestyle. And I have always been a person that I don't really dwell with a lot of negativity, and I don't allow it in my space. I've worked really hard over the years to get to that level. And when you get to this level, it is so peaceful. You just literally do anything to keep you peace. And from a very young age, I was raised a certain way. I was raised to respect women and to give respect where it is due. even when you could see a reason not to be respectful. And we all know, I think the fellas in here could pick sense from nonsense where you're going with that particular line. But in order to avoid conflict, I would just prefer to walk away. So since I always had that respect, and then coupled, I think it was even strengthened when I had my child in 2006, and it was a girl, and I wanted a girl. So obviously that can be strengthened 10 times, 100 times as much, because you don't want anything like that to befall on your innocent baby, your innocent child, your innocent daughter. Boys are victims of this as well in terms of rape and stuff, but we predominantly usually lean to the female or the lady type of rape whenever we speak about it. For me, because of the mentality that I have and I carry through my life, I never learned like later on in life that a guy that I was friends with was actually a perpetrator of rape. So it was very. I guess I was on the outside, but as I got older, we became more outward with our speech. Things that were considered taboo, we started to be more verbal with, vocal about. That's when I learned that actually a lot of people that I know, women mainly, were actually victims of sexual assault. And it obviously troubled me because I was like, well, I got interactions with these people, and it's like you never saw it. And it's I think something is hit you hardest when it happens and you had no clue it was going on. And I used to take that on a certain way, because then you want to ask questions, but you don't want to pry into somebody's personal life, and you don't know the kind of trauma that related or connected to it. So I just used to apply a specific level of understanding that, all right, if you want to talk to me about it, you could talk to me about it. But I will say this: when you say A, you have to say B in some things, or in most things, if not all things. There are people who understand that the law tends to lean, I guess, what's the term I'm looking for? It leans in a favorable way towards women. So people who are manipulators tend to exercise that quality or that trait. I would say a trait. It's not quality, it's a trait. And I find people who are actual victims tend to shrivel up. They don't talk about it much. They don't want unwanted attention. They don't want cause problems. They just allow things to skip. I don't know how the fellas feel about that, but I know for me, people who truly are victims tend to not get what is deserving from the law. And T, as you're an aspiring lawyer, I know that you may disagree with that, but I speaking from experience with people that I know personally that have gone through whatever topic we could possibly bring up. And they whenever they are victims of an act, they tend to clam up. They do not seek attention. They do not seek justice, quote unquote. They just want to be left alone. But people who outwardly go to say things or do things, yet again, I have to put it out there that yes, people are speaking out more. It is not everybody who is actually a perpetrator pretending to be a victim, or these professional victims, as we got labels for everything nowadays. It's not that's how it is at all times. But I find that most of the time, true victims are people who just want to be left alone. So I think one of the things that we have to discuss when it comes to rape accusations, we got to bring the false rape accusations into the limelight, into the spotlight. And what are we doing to ensure that there are particular penalties in place to ensure the safety of people, because in a previous episode, I remember stating that whenever a man is accused of something, even if he is proven innocent, the likelihood of him getting that stigma and stench washed away from him is next to impossible. Just the fact that you were accused makes you guilty, number one. And number two, even after you prove that you're not guilty, the stigma does not leave you. It's like it's forever looming. However, if the person who does the false accusation, they walk away scot-free. Name untarnished, record still shiny, still in good condition, and society forgets all about them. So I believe that we need to be one, firm about rape accusations because it's a serious topic. But on the other hand, we have to be very aware of the fact that people do manipulate the system. People are vindictive in nature when they know that they have the opportunity to be advantaged in a situation, and they take it upon themselves, whether it's something personal vendetta, whatever, a moment of blood to the head. They take advantage and they just damage somebody's entire character for life. So we need to ensure for both counts we have both people covered. And I think that should be the number one advocate when it comes to these conversations, because it is okay to speak about any of these things, but we have to find balance where there are imbalances. And I think that's the reason why Bearded Conversations was born, because we noticed that men are falling lower and lower on the totem pole of value, and we needed to make a conversation about it. But with this particular topic, because it is so touchy, because it is so sensitive, and because there's no black and white, there's always some gray involved in it, we have to be more aware of that, and we have to make room for that. So I said all of that basically to come to this point, that for me, I have a zero tolerance with it. Um, I've never been in a situation where that I have forced myself onto someone. And personally, I don't understand it, but I can grasp it, if that makes sense to the men. Because, sometimes you don't have to go through something entirely to get it. You can learn from other people's experiences, or you can just understand via, researching.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through every single thing. So I can make some room for the men to have a bit, because I mean I could go on and on about this. I could come from the aspect of a daddy. I could come from the aspect of a young man who never forced himself onto anyone. I could come from the aspect of just being a law-abiding citizen and it don't apply to me. And I could come from any angle you could think of. But I want less room for the men to respond to anything that I've said or even go on their own. So I'm gonna go ahead from there.
Of course, and hopefully for the sake of this episode, we get all of those different perspectives that you have. And I hope that everybody on this podcast, on this episode, could bring the 10 different perspectives that you could bring, because this could affect us in so many different ways. That is the truth. It can. And for most of us in here who are maybe, a little bit more set in life or looking to be set in life, this is a scary thing here. I know if I say it and if it slipped my mind, but a false rape accusation is so scary. So I gotta move on. I want to hear Zane, man. I want to hear what you guys say, Zane.
Good night, everybody. I was listening to the chat speak, and I was thinking about situations I've heard of, thinking about the experiences I've had. Um, false accusations are pretty easy. When I say that, I mean if you are a person who has purposely called a name knowing that that was not the case, that called my name for rape and knowing that that's not the case, point blank, that is wrong. So for me, that part is the no-brainer. That ain't difficult. As for the man who being killed in the court of public opinion, that's where it gets funny. And to be honest, I feel as though you have to talk about the definition of rape too, or what rape is, because I find that with each passing time, things tend to change and meanings tend to adjust, and I find things are explained, are expanded upon a lot, because what I understand rape to be now, I did not understand it to be 15 years ago, 10 years ago.
Hmm.
I would say that the reason why false accusations are so they can be so damaging, and it seems to be like a well, how I want to put it, it seems like it's a retort to for those people who were raped and truthfully raped and were not hurt. And then you kind of have this, like just like everything else. You have movements that are spawned out of a marginalized community, or people who felt as though they've been hurt and there were no repercussions or any kind of recourse. So the false accusation now, I find, has become more prevalent, and it is extremely potent because I think because of that, because of people who are not, so you would find out that the prevailing message is believe the victim, and that is point blank what is taught. Believe the victim regardless of the circumstance. And I understand that that is birthed out of people who may have been raped and were not hurt. I understand that, but it's a problem because it presumes that the person who who is being accused is guilty, which is not how law is supposed to work. One. So then it also turns the entire society. If you have an entire society thinking, well, yeah, let me believe the victim automatically, which I think is not smart, personally. And I am not saying that we should disbelieve the victim, so to speak. Either it is more a case of you don't just throw the baby out the bathwater, as they would say. I will not presume that this person is guilty, and I'm not going to presume that you are, in fact, being truthful either. We have to keep our minds open for the possibility of something not being the case, whatever it may be. It is hard to get people to remove bias, etc., etc. That's a difficult one to do. And I don't think there's ever going to be a time where if I am accused of rape and that is said and repeated throughout society, that there will ever be a time where that is easy, or even if it's untrue, I don't know if there will ever come a time where that is not a harsh reality to have to deal with. So I don't know if it's, I don't think it makes sense speak to that part. So for me, I think that is one of these things that we have to look at, because it happens to men disproportionately. So obviously, it happens to men, and it is not something that is. I've known of cases of being in a situation where not me necessarily, but let me just say a father, and he was accused of touching his daughter, and that was not the case. But that word got out, and that started to go around, and that was a very painful time for him. Raising his daughter, helping to raise his daughter, that was a really painful time for him, and it took him years to get over it, because it was his child's mother that had accused him of that, and this was without any evidence.
But there's just a question, not really to interrupt, but do people still think that he did that? Because you
This
mentioned that it was
is
untrue.
years ago.
So I want to know if like there are
Yeah,
people
but
who are
years
still
ago
out there
now.
saying that this man do this.
But I mean, I can't tell you that now because we're talking like I personally talking 20 years ago because that daughter is a grown woman now. But we talking like 15, 16, 17 years ago. But yeah, so I can't say that people are still seeing it, but at that time, obviously I was around, so I would know that at that time it was a thought and it was a very difficult thing for him to deal with, you know. So and that was because him and his mother were going through a lot of trials. So, you know, but anyhow, without getting into any further detail, my point being is that I know that as Chad pointed out, it is not as clear cut and as simple. Like I said, false accusation itself is clear cut. If you do that shit, you're doing foolishness, and you should be punished for it. And that's the part that needs to be solidified in the law, in the law faculties, because that's where it really needs to be dealt with. But the court of public opinion, as a man, that's
It's
a
never in your
losing
favor.
battle.
It's never in
That's
your
a losing
favor.
battle, bro.
But there's a bit of legal advice. You could sue for defamation. So you could try that route.
Right.
Yeah, defamation is one route, but of course you got to prove damages. But in most cases, it's easy to prove damages because people lose their jobs or what have you. But in terms of reputation, a damage to your reputation, that ain't really quantifiable in terms of trying to determine that you actually have some sort of damage. We have to say, Darian.
Man, this is a very touchy subject, as the guys would have alluded to. I think one of the things, it's such a tricky thing to balance because obviously you don't want, if someone is raped, you don't want them to be in a position of where they're afraid to come forward to notify the authorities that that incident unfortunately has occurred. But also it seems so easy to damage a man's reputation. And as my grandmother always used to say, one thing is that you can always carry is your reputation. So I mean, it's tough because I know a friend of mine who has been accused of that, honestly, and it was tough for him. Like, he didn't even want to talk to women anymore. It was that bad. So it's also, you can see the damage it has on society at large, because there's some dudes that will go on now and they don't know how to function in society anymore. Some men turn to hate women, which is something that I don't want to see happen, but it can happen. And also, as men, sometimes I think we're also very harsh on each other. So let's say a dude is accused and it turns out to be false. We have men who go around spreading that, that the guy is a rapist or something, which is something that I find rather strange. Because I think as a dude, you would kind of understand the position that he was in, and you'll be a bit sympathetic. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen. So it's one that I think is very, very tricky, because as I said earlier, you still want the ability for a victim to come forward. You don't want a victim to feel, well, hey, if I come forward, no, I could be facing, I don't know how many years in jail for not speaking up, or there wasn't enough evidence or whatever. But at the same time, I do honestly wholeheartedly believe that if someone tries to destroy your character for whatever reason, that a punishment needs to be carried out. I know you said about suing for defamation of character, but then again, you might have spent so much money trying to clear your name of the accusation in the first place that you might not have enough funds to then push forward the lawsuit for defamation. Some people might just be so relieved that it's over, that they don't have to go to jail, that they wouldn't pursue returning to the law court. It could be so traumatic that they don't want to go back. So I don't know if it could be a process of where it's automatically tried, that the court would, if the evidence comes through, is provided that is deemed false, that the court might well take it up. I don't know if, as a lawyer, you could tell me if that is possible to happen, but it's something that I think should be looked into, as long as it's clear evidence I think it's something that should be looked upon, because you don't want to encourage persons for whatever reason to destroy a character. Could be money, as Zian said. The lady was going through troubles with the man and his daughter. So she might want to get to do that picture.
True.
So in that case, I think something should have been done in that instance. But I don't know. I think I don't know how you would legally balance having people feel comfortable to come forward, and also, if deemed false, a fair punishment to be handed out.
Yeah, man. Honestly, there are several ideas that are being floated about. One of them being some sort of criminal punishment for people who came forward and lied. But it is a fine line that we're walking in terms of dealing with false rape accusations, and I think that's what you just pointed out, Darian, which is kind of is a fine line, and is really is easy to veer to one side or the other. And how you gonna, if you're punishing somebody, the thing about it is that you have to prove this here in the court beyond reasonable doubt. It isn't a case where, like, it's a civil case where you have to prove it beyond a balance of probabilities. I think that's the term that is used for the criminal court here in the Caribbean and in the UK. But it's like a 50-50 thing for civil court. It's totally different. For criminal court is beyond our reasonable doubt. So it could be a case where you just did not have the required evidence to prove that this person had raped you, and in some cases it's hard to bring that evidence up. So it's a fine line that you're walking. But I honestly, and this is what I said, I can't think of anything. Like, I really do want women who are raped to be able to come forward and say, hey, this person do X and Y and Z to me. Because there are some people who are actually raped by a co-worker. There's some people who are raped by somebody in their church or somebody around their family that, if they don't say anything, they're going to have to live either the rest of their life or some extended period of time with that person in their space. And every time they see that person, they're going to relive that trauma. So you want balance. You want to balance out with the fact that, oh, this body ain't give me a promotion, or I see this fella named Robert, and I know that I could get into that managerial position. So I say that Robert interfered with me so that Robert could get fired. So to me is a fine line, and I can't think of anything. I don't know if you guys could think of anything, but I definitely can't think of anything. All they know that all that's on my mind is that false rape accusations are horrible. But one of the things that Zane would have picked on is that the whole presumption of guilt. And the thing about that is that here's the thing, and this is not to get too technical, but everybody is, to me, it is a basic right, a basic constitutional right, not just in the US, but in the Caribbean as well, for you to have due process. Without due process, it comes down to your character. And is usually, the perfect example of this is the Brett Kavanaugh situation. If you look at the Brett Kavanaugh situation, he was accused of rape. He was accused of rape by a woman that could not remember where she get raped, cannot remember the time that she get raped. There was nobody else. She claimed that she was raped at a party, and the party that she don't know the location of this party, but she claimed that she was raped at a party, and she can't tell you. Everybody else who was there at the party said that they never saw her at the party. They don't really know her that well. They can't remember her in any of the places that they say that she was at. All of this here. So already that sounds sketchy. And they went after this man on the basis of an accusation. And after that, because there was no due process, they went after his character. So it wasn't a case where people were concerned whether he did it or whether he didn't do it. People were concerned with whether he looked like if he do it. And it came down to people saying, yo, fam, listen, he used to play drinking games. So if he used to play drinking games, that mean that he used to drug women. And they connected all of these dots. When in reality, there are people who are out there who are absolutely horrible, that ain't ever raped nobody or ain't ever lay a hand on anybody. And there are people out there who are some of the nicest persons in the world and do all sorts of foolishness to people. Ted Bundy was nice, you know. I don't know if any of y'all watch the documentaries on Ted Bundy, but people say that Ted Bundy was a real nice fellow. But at the end, they couldn't even believe that he was about the place killing people. That's how nice Ted Bundy was. Nothing odd about it.
But you gotta expect that. You gotta expect that people who are serial murderers or serial rapists or serial anything, you have to be charismatic. Because if you stick out like a sore thumb, then the first body that they're gonna point the finger at it possibly being is you. So you have to be a person that is inviting, that is warm, that knows his or her way around people, how to get what he wants, that sort of thing.
You would be surprised.
If
you watch Mindhunters, you will see. I don't know if you guys watch Mindhunter, but some of those were based on actual tapes, were actual interviews with actual serial killers, and some of these guys were creepy as hell. Some of them would sit down and talk to them, and they will be glad to tell you about this body that them chop off them head and blah blah blah.
Right, but what I'm saying to you is, people like that have to be strategic. They have to be patient. That's why that they can sit down now and talk about it, because they want to express the feelings that they have with their conquests over the time that they were free doing what they wanted to do. But they're caught now. So all they have to do is express this 15 minutes of fame. So I believe that even though a person can openly say, yeah, I like to cut open my victims and take out this part of the stomach or whatever, yes, that's gross. Yeah, that's gruesome. But at the point in time, he's not walking around looking like a freak in open society. That's what I mean.
No,
if you understand what he's saying. So
I
right.
get you.
So yeah.
Yeah, but it comes down
back to the
yo.
If you know you talking about the Brett Kavanaugh situation,
the Kavanaugh situation.
You remember Cuomo was the greatest thing happening during
COVID,
during quarantine, during the COVID epidemic in New York. He was the one he ran for president or anything.
After he killed all them people,
huh?
After he killed all of those people,
allegedly.
He shit all of them back to the nursing homes and thing. I know all of that. Yeah, but allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, but then so he was the devil, then he was the savior, and then when he decided for him to be the devil again, great accusations suddenly. And they know that is the way to get any man off his throne. Any position you want to get a man out of his position, that is what you do. There's a long list of names that we could call of guys who and it's hard because you don't know what is true. You got a man, 23 women coming on and saying that this thing happened. On one hand, as what people tell, 1,000 Frenchmen can't be wrong. Except that sometimes it be 1,000 Frenchmen because somebody hired 1,000 Frenchmen.
Yeah, that's so true.
You telling me that? Cause you mean a man is? You tell me that a man? Even if you tell me that a man raped one, okay, let me deal with that situation. Nope, you're telling me 18 others, 20 others, 25 others.
But even with the Kavanaugh situation, and I want to hear what women meant to think about this one, because I thought that this accusation was ridiculous. This woman
did the guy in Florida?
No, this Brett Kavanaugh was a nominee for the Supreme Court,
Oh, yeah, I
Trump.
know, right?
Yeah, this I don't know if you guys were who were following, but there was an accusation that was leveled by a woman named Julie Swetnick. Like the name Julie Swetnick just sound like ridiculous on your whole to me. That just sounds slimy to me on your whole. But yeah,
That's like a mecca name.
that sounds like a mecca name for somebody that just slimy and just like just
You
bad
sound
mind.
like, that sound like me at 13 and try to write a novel and try to make the characters sound cool.
Yeah. So basically she come forward with this accusation. I want to hear what one of the men say after he said she claimed that she was also at the parties that Brett Kavanaugh and his friends used to be at and drug women, right? She said that she knew that he or his friends used to put drugs in the punch. She then said, I kid you not, after going to more than one of these parties, after knowing that they put drugs in the punch, she drink the punch, she get drugged, and she get raped. No, I want to hear what one of the men go here say about that accusation.
I might sound harsh, but what way do you drink the punch?
But that's the first thing I kind of went, I know what was in and Chago said about that one. But that was one of the accusations that was leveled at Brett Kavanaugh. And people was believing it.
You know, again, it's a sensitive time on social. I keep saying, listen, the older I get, the more I pay attention, the more I realize how much media does control the mind of the entire set. Your media is great denominator. You heard that? Everybody just follow what media portrays.
That's so
And in
true.
that case, even though some may not make sense, if you show 20 million people something, even if 19 million people get it and understand, a 1 million don't. And 1 million isn't more than enough to make a lot of noise.
And government Twitter is a cesspool too, so.
You understand? So like,
Well,
but you know what? Cardi B openly said that she used to drug niggas and keep the money. So
yeah, but she's not a threat. That's where you gotta recognize. But what I wanted to say based on what the asked of us, it comes back down to what I said initially. The reality is men are already under attack, they're already under siege, and the fact that anything that is levied against you is considered quite possible, quite probable, highly probable, as a matter of fact. And even when you prove that this is not true, it stays with you. So the fact that that is happening is one thing. Then when it gets on social media with shit, though, that means now that somebody that in Zimbabwe got an opinion of you that is actually not true. You get what I'm saying? So social media don't do us men no favors.
But like this time, and it always come back to this, men, maybe no matter what topic we choose, as you say, we are under attack. And whenever women hear us talking in this manner, then just scoff the face and shoot them up, because in their minds
What about we? That's what it's always be.
But in their minds,
that's narcissism, that's like
listen. But we are the oppressors in their minds. They have been taught that we are the oppressors. So in their mind, anything
the favorite P word, man. That shall not be said.
Penis.
Then the love we for that.
Sure. All right, into my mode chat.
But you find ourselves in these topics, this combat. Like you will hear women say that men can talk about their issues, but not in response to women talking about theirs. And I understand that to an extent, but then at the same time, so I should just wait until you stop talking about your stuff for me to talk about my stuff.
We both see what you're saying, big man.
Our points across. We both
you see what you're saying?
Yeah.
You see what it is that you're saying? I want women to recognize something right here, right now. No matter what topic we have had over the past couple of weeks. When I ever find that even if any of us disagreed with what somebody else said, has anybody in here felt disrespected? Has anybody in here felt, oh well, my opinion don't matter? Has anybody felt like if their opinion was infringed upon? Even when we
Yes, and
talk,
they get a Twitter and
please be
complain
quiet.
about it.
Right, but even when we doing it, I know that you joking there, but I being serious. Like for me, like I find that we don't talk over one another. I find that we respect one another, points of views, positions, whatever, and that's something that is important because you find yet again with these professional victims that whenever you have to mention about something, there's always clapback. There's always resistance. There's always, so what about me? What about me? What about me? And that is so tiring. I know, but when anybody that has got that mentality, I don't want to speak to them. It's literally take everything out of me to talk with somebody who just constantly in that victim mode. Like, oh, I just know you just know had your piece to say. I said I listen attentively. I give you my feedback. Then all of a sudden you button over what I'm saying. You don't give me my chance to relay what it is I want to say. You defending, you dismissive, use all these is like, but I think wanna know where you're going with this. Wanna know who this portrayed that behavior.
Chad, there's a big issue. You know, one of the bigger issues we having with that is because we right now are using social media. I would call it in the right manner, which is we are not in person right now. However, we're having a a present virtual conversation,
Uh-huh.
meaning that you are not waiting on me to type. I'm waiting on you to type. It does
Uh-huh.
not involve 100 other people giving their input or quoting what you're about to say and adding their commentary. Like, we are having a digital conversation where we are both present and giving our views and able to expand on our views, etc. And you can hear the tone of my voice, I can hear the tone of yours.
Uh-huh.
That is the issue
Which
we're
is a
having
very vital part of
is that
communication.
younger folks don't like phone conversations. They're not interested in talking. They prefer to type everything. And I have
Mhm.
long discovered I see it every day, inflammatory posts between men and women every day, every day. I be on Twitter a lot and I see it all the time. It's constant war. And the reason there's constant war is because nobody actually wants to stop and have a conversation about what we are talking about. You know, everybody wants to have a response, and that is it. Nobody's learning, nobody's listening or paying attention to learn or to understand. Everybody literally is looking for a chance to have a gotcha moment. That's
Yeah.
what everybody does. So there's no actual progress. So if a man says something that the women don't like on Twitter, this is what happens. The landslide comes. And every woman that agrees adds her 2 cents. Blah, 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 blah. And it
But
just
but
goes on with that.
but another thing, and it's something that Child would have alluded to, but it stuck with me is you got to be careful with who you have a conversation with.
Oh yeah.
People that you have, people that you include into your spaces. Even this podcast here, like, of course we are going to. And I guess this is a plug for the episode that we're going to be doing later down in the month. But the conversation about rape, like, even though I reach out to people, I didn't want the ultra feminist on the podcast because at the end of the day, I remember a friend telling me about that. Oh man, you need to have on I think Mandy Cummins is the name that he mentioned. If you guys, you probably interacted or passed across Mandy Cummins before, but
I
Barbadian?
don't think I have. I don't think I have.
uh,
Is
uh,
she Barbadian tea?
yeah, she's a Barbadian B. She's one of them, or another girl, man. I can't remember who she named, but that
There are
went
quite a
foundation
few.
with me. That is one of the ultra. But you know how the ultra feminists operate. I call it the ultra feminist. These people ain't interested in using your platform for you to come true. I have a they're thinking of your platform as a space for you to
If
exchange
we
ideas with them. Is a case where they're coming onto
Right.
your platform to talk down to you, to tell you how you need to operate. And then
Well,
about that.
dog, let me tell you this here plainly. Let me tell you this plainly. I have no problem having discourse with anybody from any walk of life with any sort of point of view. But you see, from the time that is a situation that you are trying to learn from me, you trying to educate me, but you don't have it, you don't have the capacity to tell yourself, well, I could possibly learn something from this guy because he may have a separate and distinct point of view that we could learn from each other and move away with better understanding of each other and people as a whole. I don't want no part of that conversation, dog. At my age, I ain't interested in pussyfooting around nothing with nobody who is detrimental to anything that is ascension based, brother. You understand me? I ain't working with nothing so.
Yeah.
So if it is that these people want to come through and have a conversation, by all means, the platform is here, the opportunity is here. But for me, we will go beat it, Kevin Samuel. So don't talk over me.
Exactly.
Don't
And
talk over me.
it
Or we
it
gonna
is
cut them
respect.
off. Simple.
It is a respect thing.
Yeah.
It's a people
Look,
who
dog.
don't
I
people who
so
talk to you
sorry.
like that.
I so sorry that I doing this here to you. But let me say this too, right? You know one thing that I have noticed over the years, because when I must be tired of me saying that I come from a different era. But the truth is, right? In my time, people used to have to back up the mouth with physical action. Nobody know is afraid of being punched in the mouth for mouthing off things that they can't physically back up because everybody entitled to an opinion now.
Yeah.
Back in the
Yeah.
day, brother, you tell
You must
somebody something, you go back it up. You call
listen.
somebody, oh boy, you's a bullet. Big man, is a fight, dog. It's a fight. And if you can't fight, you can get your ass cut. And then next 2 days from there, you're back with the main pitching marbles. That's how we used to operate. But now everybody's mouth is open. It is free to roam,
Fingers,
and it
fingers,
don't got no consequences.
fingers,
It ain't
fingers,
got
fingers.
right fingers or whatever. And there are no consequences to nothing that is said verbally anymore. That's the
Tig,
line that we going down.
But Chad, right?
Tig,
Is it that it's
brother.
verbally or is that you're protected behind a screen, so you can say whatever you
Exactly.
want.
Well,
I can't
That's
reach
what
you. I
came to
can't slap
mind.
you. So I'm gonna
That's what
say
came to
whatever I
mind.
want. What can you do me? Nothing.
Tig, Tig, you ever see the line? This is the new young girls slogan of whenever discussing anything to do with male female
This is my opinion. I don't
relationship.
care.
No. Debate your mother.
What?
You never hear that before.
Nah,
You never, you
honestly,
never
honestly,
see
I
that?
can ask a social kind of
I saw
social media.
No.
So
So
I saw it
debate.
on Twitter once or twice, but I didn't see it.
No,
I didn't see it late, but I
I
don't
see
be
it
on
quite
Twitter enough.
often. Right. So it's basically used as a trope at the end of it. So let me say they want to talk about something that they believe to be obvious, you know. So it's not debatable. That's their way of saying that this is not a debatable topic. You had debate a matter. Now, I would not bother to, like I said, just a chat. I just have a conversation with anybody. And if it's one thing, you can say, well, me, if you call me a misogynist, if you call me anything, you can call me freaking for the economy. It don't matter. But I will have a conversation with almost anybody. And I ain't gonna get angry, it ain't gonna be me cussing you, stink. No foolishness like that. It ain't gonna be me trying to slander you, I ain't gonna try to be a snark commentary. Nah, I can just try to have a conversation and eventually somebody will stop or whatever. Now, the problem I just have is that a lot of these younger folks especially have these views that they are holding on to so strongly that they cannot be moved and they're not interested in learning. As you said, they're not interested in debating. So the answer is debating, mother. So even if I was interested in trying to have a conversation, when I see that, you know what? Let me left you out. Personally, as you said, T, when it comes to talking to certain people, you choose who you want to talk to. I don't have a problem talking to anybody, but
I want a
there are
question.
some people that I just see just be a little too quick with the fingers, be a little too quick with the mouth, and everything is come off and F this and see you ain't that and blah blah. It always seems to be the extreme versions of a response. I see them and left them.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
Darian.
I want to ask a question to both. Hold on. I want to ask a question to both Chad and Zane. I think because they're older than I am. Since you're old, I want to ask a question. What would lead you to think that we've seen this change with where people they have formed these opinions and they're not willing to change them. What you think caused that? As you're a bit older than I am, I want to answer guys what you think caused that change from back in the day where I could have an opinion, but if Chad can say, yo, Bartlett, you think it's A, but it's actually B, and Chad break it down to me, I'll be like, man, Chad, you right. So we're now I can tell Chad is A, he can't
Chad, you want
come
this
to
first, or what you want to do?
that was
Either body can answer first.
it don't matter to me, man. I want to hear one of my opinion.
I think very much that it is to do with the ideological timing of the way of things have been taught for the last 40 years. 40 odd years. You have an entire every person now has their own idea, their own ideological group now. So there was a time where you would not have known what Sarah and Sicily thought. That would not have been in your view. But no, it is. No, you have a club. Everybody has their own exclusive club that they can go to with people who think just like they do. So there's this serious epidemic of groupthink. Any person who opposes that or tugs at that is automatically the enemy and must be sterilized. And that is the big one of the big issues we have. If you really want to get into this, there's a lot to do with. I think this is a big conversation. This is the breakdown of the family. This is women moving out into the working world. This is a social media era, and what people keep downplaying the importance of social media, but never in human history have we had this social media ever. And social media is the big game changer.
Yeah, is the progress, is the widespread reach of people, and the fact that my opinion could go further than my district, rather than once upon a time it was the people that I interact with on a daily basis. Those were the only people that I could touch in a sense.
Exactly.
So you gotta look at it from the perspective that progress sometimes is bring a regressive mindset or behavior. Look at it like this too. If you're a food business, right, T? Yeah. And you selling only chicken and lamb, you think somebody could come and ask you about fish or beef or anything? So the problem is that they got too much choices nowadays. They got too many opportunities that the men taking the right advantage of.
But
it's
Chad,
come down to a core value.
Before you go on, there's something that you said that just stick with me. Like you was talking about people opinion not going outside of their neighborhood or outside of their district. In order for my idea to get outside of my neighborhood or outside of my district, it got to be a decent idea. I got to persuade the people inside my district. I got to persuade the people that inside of my district that my idea is a good idea. And we ain't gonna do that on Twitter and Facebook no more. Yeah. We just gotta put it up on there, and then people that like it, then like it, and who don't like it, don't like it.
But either left it or they're gonna negatively comment. Yeah.
Exactly. I ain't gonna like this is, let's say, Chad, Kwame, and Zane, Darian, that's we community. I come up with an idea. I gotta get past one first. But no, I ain't even gotta consider one. I just gotta put it on my Facebook or upon my Instagram or upon my Twitter. Other people that like it can be like, yeah, man, that's a good idea.
Checks and balances. That's how we are socialized. That's how we figure out if we're assholes or not.
Yeah. but one thing. But to Darian's question, I know that is a young youth in this whole conversation. But what I would say is that I like to hear conservatives. I know if people that listen to conservatives, because people like to write them off. I just listen to both sides. I just listen to my Ben Shapiro in the same way that I just listen to the other more liberal podcasts, Block and Reported, and them sort of podcasts. But at the end of the day, like, I sit down and I listen to these men grapple with these issues. And they were talking around the time of the whole Derek Chauvin ruling. And they said that for conservatives, their community was church, if you get what I mean. They go church on a Sunday, or for some of them, there was the Jews, so they will go. I can't remember what Jews do, but they will go mass or whatever. They will go to synagogue. They will go to synagogue, and that's their community. What's happened is that there's this movement. There's been a mass exodus, especially for my generation, against religion. But the thing about religion is that the community that religion provided, people are finding other avenues for that sort of community. At one point, it was TED Talks. I don't know if you guys ever sit down and watch a TED Talk, but you don't realize a TED Talk was similar to church. Pardon?
One or two of them.
Yeah, if you sit down and
TED
watch
Talks,
it,
meaning TED Talk.
Yeah, if you watch TED Talks, you will realize it's kind of like a church with a pastor preaching. Like the people there, and they're sitting down and they're listening and they're taking in what, and it's similar to a pastor preaching. I'm not saying that it's the same sort of thing where people go every Sunday to go and receive the Holy Word, but it provides that level of community that was lacking for individuals that no longer cared to go to church anymore, or they don't agree with the message in church. But what one thing that they said on that podcast is that Twitter now has become their community. Twitter is like church for liberals and left-leaning individuals. And when you really sit down and think about it, what we used to do at church, you used to go to church, you used to go Sunday school, you used to interact with people and interact with like-minded people. Now, how else do you interact with like-minded people outside of social media, especially in this day and age? Like, it's difficult to interact. You don't know. I may go across the effect, but I may party with somebody else, but I don't know if that person got the same sort of ideology that I have. That man may be homophobic and I may not. But we partying together and we having a good time. So to me, Twitter has replaced that. It has replaced that church vibe, that church community that people once had. And that's
we're running from every institution. We're running from all the institutions. Anything that feels and looks and smells like an institution, we are running from. And that's marriage, that's church, that's government. It doesn't matter. We are just running from them all in the name of freedom, or at least a supposed freedom. You know, the idea of a free society, and nobody has to live by any particular set of rules. And the problem with this entire, I would say the entire, not just the younger generation, but politics, media, all of it, all of them got the same problem. Throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's the, listen, you could literally go to any space and the problem is the same. People either want to go far left or they want to go far right. But nobody wants to just thrash out what we can thrash out and come somewhere in the middle. Even if it's a middle left, even if it's a middle right. But it is never, that's the issue. Every issue we have in society right now is people wanting to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
But another thing, another thing that I want to add, what I've realized, and I think this is bringing up a little bit about mental illness as well, but I realized that certain behaviors that are completely unacceptable, and this getting back to the false rape accusation as well, to accuse somebody of something, right? To accuse somebody of something that they ain't do. You know that they ain't do it. That's somebody that's sick in the head, you know. Nobody in their right mind would accuse somebody of doing something that they ain't do, knowing that it could ruin their life. I may accuse somebody of something that they ain't do as a joke. So, for example, I may say that one of the men start at OnlyFans, but that's a joke. Right. Then nothing that coming from out of that is just about gas. But to do that is like, to me that's a sickness, and it comes back to some of the other things that were said as well. People talked about.
Let me share. Go ahead, dog.
Yeah, people talked about. Oh gosh, it's slipping me. But there are so many things that people talk about, and they realize, people talked about the whole concept of people saying, "Oh man, what are you talking about? well, you taking this away from me and you taking that away from me when you talk about your issues. But that's narcissism.
It is.
If you can't
Because
sit down,
everything is about you.
exactly. If me expressing my hurt or my trauma or whatever it is taking away the spotlight from you, then something wrong with you. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Something is wrong with you.
That's a fact.
It ain't got nothing to do with me.
That's a fact.
A lot of people just be
Professional
on Twitter.
victims, dog.
Exactly. A lot of people just be on Twitter. I see men talking about, like, they had a man that was getting beat up by a woman. And a man talking about it and saying, man, this is we need to talk about that. And a woman in the comments talking about, man, but women that's go through abuse too, and we need to talk about that. But is a man that getting beat in the video though? Nobody is studying women and whether they're getting beat or not. It's a man that getting beat. So to me,
and it is already an issue that exists. It is addressed. It is constantly addressed.
Every single
so you don't
day.
need you know the same way how women say that, I don't understand why giving women props has made me feel so weakened. But so why is it that when we talking about men's issues that we gotta bring up women in it?
Exactly.
Why?
Exactly.
So we're good for the goose and good for the gander then.
But what I would say, and to me this may be psychoanalyzing, right? But I realize that people externalize certain negative behaviors through ideology. And what I mean by that is that certain behavior that will be completely unacceptable, like that certain narcissist behavior. Now, if I was saying that about something else in my life, for example, or a woman was saying something else about that, people would say, but listen, T, you gotta ease up, though. You don't realize that you being a little bit narcissistic or you being a little bit self-centered. But if I put that under the guise of feminism now, oh man, I understand what T going through, man. We really need to bring attention to that. No, it's narcissistic behavior. And we gotta call it out no matter what ideology it attached to. And that's just how I see it. So even with the false rape accusations, at the end of the day, yes, we have an issue with individuals coming out and speaking up about the issues that they experience.
But let me share something with you, T.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess it's sharing with everybody. I like to bring something personal to the men whenever I can. And there was a time that on Instagram, I think T knows me to the point that I is a comical fella. I jovial in nature. I don't really, like I keep saying, don't deal with the negativity. I like jokes and I like uplifting. So there was one video that I posted on Instagram a time, and I put my usual spin on it, put my own little caption and everything. And then I got a DM from a person that I don't know personally, because this person is not my friend. This person is an acquaintance. I met her through someone, right? And this would have been the first time that that a DM was ever sent to me. And the person said to me, oh, do you know that this joke is rather rapey? So, I take off my glasses, I stretch my shoulders, and I start flexing my fingers because I had time. And I say I got met time for this situation because I don't take these sort of accusations lightly. And this also leans to what it is that I said initially. The fact that people know that there is a platform or a stage right now for women to feel even safer to say things without regret or consequence. Yet again, you don't know me. You don't know the way that I do my comedy because you don't know me. And I am not a person that I feel the need to prove myself to anybody. So I didn't go down the line that, oh, well, I'm a father of a daughter, so I will not do this. I wasn't in the mood to say, oh, it is not that, and give an explanation, because that's mansplaining, another fucking word that I absolutely hate to hear, and I don't acknowledge, and I tell the straight. I curse people quick for that day, because I absolutely hate the fuckery, dog. I think you hear me cursing though because you understand how this hit me and how it's hurt me, because I don't curse like that on this podcast. But let me tell you this. I roll up my sleeves, as I said, and I flex my fingers because I had time. And I told her, where do you get off coming into my DM a person that does not know me, you have not interacted with me, you don't understand who I am, and you feel safe to accuse me of something like that. And we had a back and forth. Like I had to walk away sometimes from it because I know that another side of me know I would have sent voice notes and start to get hyped and that sort of thing. But ultimately, right, this is the point that I am making. There are people of the other gender who feel absolutely safe in their views and their opinions, and they do not have to bear the consequences of actions or words. Because right now, the climate supports the fact that, oh, we were disenfranchised for X amount of time. So for all intents and purposes, it means that when I got a show, when I ask right now, it means that everything that is done goes without any sort of detriment or consequence behind it. And I absolutely against it. I'm absolutely against it. Because when you get power, you gotta get responsibility. You understand me? And the fact that you feel safe to come to somebody that you do not know and just say something like that, I can't put them past you. It means that if I probably look at you a certain way and you determine that I looking at you in a derogative way, sorry, or
You
a way that
objectifying or
looks
whatever the
that
case
I
is,
yeah objectifying or whatever this call it, you
sexualizing.
you could you could put me in trouble though, and I got a real problem with these sort of people.
It's funny that you said so because only yesterday I saw some things that were said about men, and I thought to myself, yo, we really being portrayed as sexual threats and violent threats constantly. And I don't think that a lot of women understand the danger in that. I mean, I could speak as a black man. I can't talk with anybody else. No, don't get me wrong. And again, this is the problem we have is that once you speak against something, or not even necessarily, if you offer any type of opinion, they assume naturally that you are completely against their stance and that there's no middle ground. It's always extreme one way or the other. No, we are constantly portrayed as that. I've heard women talking about not being able to constantly afraid to interact with men. And I think to myself, one, if that's really the state of things, then that's a terrible thing. But two, how is that? Right. So I was saying that you
Yeah,
said they
better.
were talking
Yeah.
about being in constant fear of men. And I thought to myself, this is being said out and put out into the media, into the world to be absorbed by other women. And other women are seeing this and absorbing it and thinking to themselves, yeah, we gotta live in fear of these men. And I found it to be disturbing. And it's not to suggest that there are not men out there that weird or creepy and there's stupid things that they're supposed to do. We acknowledge that. I'm not saying that those things are. It's like always acknowledge where women feel some type of unease, where men may put them in a position where they feel uncomfortable or something. And that can definitely happen, though. I think a lot of it happens because men don't necessarily be thinking about making a woman feel uncomfortable. Men are just be going after the prize being the number, or whatever he trying to get. If he's talking to a girl, whatever he might be pursuing, she might see she on a cruise and want to talk shit. And if a man isn't necessarily aware of a person's fear, which is hard to be aware of, in a way, like you could try to tell men that, yeah, that's the case, but that's a difficult thing. I think that a lot of men just do it without realizing, that a woman may feel a way about you asking for her number. Like, but the idea of that, even the idea of if you ask a woman for her number and she give you a wrong number because she's in fear that you may react in a way that is violent or whatever. But when they replay that in my, it's not to suggest that that's not possible at all. But then I think to myself, but you really living, is that really how you live it in a real way? You trying to tell me that in Barbados you live in such a state that if a man has been able, you can tell you a lie or whatever, which is fine, like to get you off your back or whatever, that's fine. But you honestly telling me that you are in fear of losing your life or getting beaten or having some kind of like crazy adverse reaction, I find like now, I mean, again, so I could be out of order, but in my mind, I'm thinking, how many interactions with men do women have? Plenty throughout their life.
Yeah.
Is it really, really statistically, you could really say that you could live in that amount of fear where men are all around you all the time, men, and nobody don't be rejected more than men. Men know about rejection. Like,
Yeah.
and then
That's
you
a
get
rite
But
of
rejected.
passage, dog.
Exactly, you get
but what's
rejected
helped me
all
as
day.
well is that a lot of these women is be pushing this thing that they ever so fearful and all of that. But
Yeah, and
they will gladly reject a man publicly and humiliate the man for just saying, hey, I don't know if y'all remember, I try to remember that ignorant one that cuss out the 16-year-old girl the other day and come back and say it was fake. I can't remember who she named, man. That this teach mass and thing.
besides that, you mean I'm posting your WhatsApp conversations, I'm posting
Yeah,
who in the
but
DMs and all kind of things.
she put out a map on blast, dog. I cannot remember who she named though. If I remember, I don't know why the name slipping me because she name always on my mind. When I can see what she looked like no. But
Sharian, I
Yeah,
think
the
yeah,
that.
girl. Yeah,
Sharian Norris.
Norris. Yeah.
But I remember she said that this fella come and said good morning, dog. And ask her about something or the other. And she said, and the woman get on so about it and said, you went and like 3 provocative pictures for off of my Instagram. And because
What she posting up for them?
but that's what but because he liked the provocative pictures and then he said good morning, she know what he was about. So she put he on blast and said that he disrespectful. And other women in the comments saying, yes, that's how you're gonna treat them. And then he is so lost. The man just said good morning. Like
Right,
Thing
yeah,
are
like
a
he
lot.
come with a
But
disrespect that
but I think
you could
Not to
have
mention
said,
you
yeah,
that
but he did deserve the dragging.
not to mention you post the provocative pictures to be like. So I mean,
correct. But you know, think,
exactly.
no, it's gonna be these same women, right? That will say that men don't approach them. Oh, man, gonna approach you now if you can get blasted for saying good morning or something, no?
Rejection is one thing. But to me, I don't think that the way how some of these women behave and react is fair. To
fear
me
how
at
it can be
least.
fear.
I don't think it's fair. Like you just like, yo, this man come to you and you gonna treat he like a second class citizen, you gonna ball he out. All sorts of different things. Just
When,
say no and keep it
when,
moving. And
when
if he continue to pursue you with like nonsense behavior, then by all means, then you could put him up on blast because he deserved to be put on blast. But to me, I don't think that you should be rejecting men in the way that you rejecting men and treating her in the way that you're treating her. But I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that and it happens. I don't know if you guys ever hear people say it before, but man, he ain't raped nobody. Well, he ain't raped nobody this time. I don't know if I ever hear it or man, he would have end up raping somebody anyways. Look at he character, look how he carrying himself. He would have raped somebody at some point. It's almost as if, right, that the whole concept, the whole nature of rape is inherent, is built into a man. And we gotta fight against that urge. And it's admirable for men that fighting against that urge. But eventually you're gonna give up and you're gonna want to interfere with a woman. To me, that's the most nonsense, dog. That's it
Yeah, you
even
gotta
comes
teach your
down
sons not to rape.
exactly.
which is the most. I mean, the
But by virtue of
conceptually
being a male, you are a rapist. So even
right.
if somebody accuse you of rape, them still doing a good job. Even if falsely accuse you of rape, they're still doing a good job because you probably would have done it anyways. Imagine going and raise a son in that sort of claiming with people talking that stupidness. I just feel that some of the people that they say that like, I should cuff them in the mouth. But then again, abuse inherent in men as well. So I guess I would be living up to my true nature if I cuff
Everything,
somebody in the mouth.
everything,
Like every negative
everything
aspect
inherent
inherent in men, even abuse, dog. But I don't think that I mentioned this in the episode about abuse. But you know that there's something that you could go and Google it called the gendered approach to abuse. Well, you want to know what the gender approach is? It's defining abuse as the male being the perpetrator and the female being the victim. The male could only be
Sir,
the perpetrator,
sir,
but the
you know
female
that,
could be victim.
sir, you know that half domestic issues are consensual. When I say consensual, I mean that they are both parties participate in it.
But some of
A
that
lot of
is with
people don't
fights.
know that.
That Chris
Right?
Brown
No,
thing was a
that's
fight.
what I'm saying. A lot of people don't realize that the behavior is exchange between two and who? Two people, because you'll find she hate he hate she back. She hate he back. But there's come a day when somebody be angrier than the other body and somebody's hitting body harder than that body hit. And then you find yourself in a situation now where, oh, I'm somebody abused. But it's
Yep.
like, no, you were both engaging in abusive behavior. It's just that one person was more damaging this time or more destructive this time than the previous times before.
Yep.
So the toxicity was there.
And there's another thing to bring it back to Rick that I want to hear your guys' opinion on, like everybody on the podcast, because I don't know if you guys know about the Aziz Ansari situation, but
Mm-mm.
basically to keep long story short, he was accused of rape. But this is how it went down. Then he asked this girl to come back to his apartment. They started to engage in sexual acts. And then like midway through, she get uncomfortable. Yeah, she get uncomfortable.
Right.
He realized that she was uncomfortable and he stopped. It was not a case where he continued. He stopped. He cut off things and that was it. My woman accused him of rape. Like Aziz Ansari ain't
That's the
get canceled
problem.
because of that. I don't think. But
That's the problem. That's the
they
problem
accuse her
there.
of rape
And
because she
nobody
did
else
not
ain't there
enjoy
to
the
say yes
sexual
or no.
experience. So I want to hear what you guys gonna say to that.
But that is where it's getting very funny because rape, that's what you remember at the beginning. I said that we got to understand what rape is because rape, the goalpost of rape, so to speak, has moved. And I found that if a person decides as you said, decide midway at the start or whatever within themselves that they don't want to do something, they may not have voiced it to you. They may not have even tried to stop you necessarily. They just ain't feeling it no more, but still continue with whatever the case is. You going along happy go lucky thinking that everything hunky dory. And then at the end of it, you hear something different.
That's
I
true.
know you're gonna scratch your head no, like so I rate you. Like,
But
I know that you make the decision mentally that you don't want to do this no more. Cause you don't vocalize it. No, there was no move made to stop it from happening.
and
So
just to interrupt you quickly, you could think after you jump in with this, but I just want to jump into this. You can't revoke consent after you done have sex, sure? So I just let people know, and this for the men out here listening to this episode. Don't if a woman decide that after when I done had sex and she think, oh, you dick game was weak, so she can holler out rape. That is foolishness on her part. And you can't get into any trouble for that. So I let you know from the get-go. If it's a case where midway, you no longer want to have sex, and that's absolutely fine, the person needs to vocalize that. They need to say, listen, I don't want this anymore. Or as a man, you say, listen, get up from off of me. But at the end of the day, you need to vocalize that. If you ain't vocalize that, then the person there know that you revoke consent. So that's just how I see it. So yeah, continues in.
yeah, that's always be a funny one because even when it comes to approaching women, we're talking about anything like that. The difference between you being creepy and not being creepy is just her interest in you. It's that simple. Point A, I could gonna send you flowers and you think that that's weird shit. Child gonna send you flowers, but child is you type. So when child send you the
Right.
same flowers, ain't a problem.
Correct.
But me, no, I got the police at my house because I was stalking. So so you understand? So
Yeah.
it is very funny and where we are headed, where women don't a lot of women don't understand is that where we're headed is a place they can end up like Japan and a lot of Europe, where a lot of people are not getting together. They are not getting in relationships. They're not getting married because the men don't want free wrong because they don't want to find themselves in the problems. The women are how they are too. I watching it happening in Barbados and it ain't get that bad that fast. It can take a while for me to get there. But I watching how things going, and I watching to see that young man as we talked about earlier. My man brought it up earlier about things like marriage and how those things are in steady decline, and how single motherhood is in steady increase. And those things are indications that how many times have we seen now in the newspapers about the birth rate?
Yeah.
They keep bringing up, but people don't ask. What people don't understand is that they're not asked. That's the problem we have. Because when people talk about the birth rate, people will be like, "Wait, how you expect me to match children in this economic time?" Blah blah blah, and I agree. But what's happening is that they don't take the time to explain why it is concerning. That's what you just see saying about make more children, but they don't take the time to explain to people why the birth rate is actually important and why it's so disturbing to see it plummet in the way it's plummeting. But there's a fundamental breakdown between how men are operating and how women are operating now. And I hear a lot of young people saying they want children. I don't get me wrong, a lot of them I think can get, and when they can catch this up in a couple of years. But the idea is there. A lot of people don't want to get pregnant. People just want to get a sperm bank and get sperm rather than a man. A lot of strange things happening in this society, and the men are unfortunate that this is where we come in. The men are also running away from
Zane, audio again.
Audio again, man.
But everybody having technical difficulties tonight, boy. First Kwame, I know Zane.
That you think I can hear one real good? I
You
don't
sound
know.
better now. You sound good now.
But I know going on it.
I don't know. I think
you know, Zane describes like a dystopic novel or something like that.
I ain't got a clue what happened in there.
You know, I think it happened before. It happened. I was doing a course and it was happening to my tutor that her audio was just dropping out all the time, which I can't begin to understand.
So you think there's a Zoom problem?
It could be a Zoom problem. It could be quite possible that it is a Zoom problem. I hope not, but I don't know, man. We could discuss all of that after the podcast in terms of switching platforms and that sort of thing. But that is a discussion for this episode. Yeah. Go ahead, Zane, and see if it's better now.
I feel like I could only hope. Maybe I could be a bit of an optimist. But I always think whenever I see people butting heads, I always think, you know what, a conversation needs to be had. And I'm at the point now where I think that I don't care if you take a panel of 10 on each side, 6, whatever the case, I feel like we need to have some serious discussions going forward as a society about these things that are happening within our society. What happening with the young folks, what happening with the older folks. You know, I think they just really need some men have a lot that needs to be said. Women always have a lot to say. So, you know, I think that we need some kind of meeting in the middle, and I think that there's just too much friction and it ain't working out.
Yeah, there needs to be a space for sensible and reasonable discussion. I don't think Twitter is gonna be that space because Twitter is overwhelmingly is overwhelmingly, and they say liberal because I myself am a liberal and I don't even feel out of place on there. Yeah, I'm a liberal, like, but people think that I'm like conservative because like I always gotta be picking up on conservative talking points, like.
Right, because you do that because you realize that is in crisis and it doesn't have its place anymore. So you just feel the need to defend it, and I understand that. I find myself in the same position. But
I find myself like false rape accusations ain't anything that I would talk about on a regular day. But like I feel the need to have to talk about false rape accusations because people don't want to do anything about it, and to me. It isn't conservative in my eyes to want to talk about false rape accusation. At the end of the day, everybody should be able to be seen equally under the eyes of the law. And it should never be the case where a man is seen as less than something or because he is a male. So because he's a male, he must be seen as a rapist.
Mhm.
That
But
that's
you
how
know
he's
what
dealing
that
with it.
is?
He must be seen as a sex offender. Come on, man.
People look at what that is. People understand what people have been using to disarm and like and be honest and say that we do it. We do it with people law and not force. We do it. We attach privilege to a person or a thing to disarm and dismiss the character that they have.
Yeah.
And that is perfectly what happens in such conflict. When it's privilege made, when it's oppressor, when it's such and such, so therefore you can't have an objective issue. You can't have it. Those things don't exist for you because you held this supposed position of power and we do that. We empower victimhood a lot
Yeah.
and we use it as a weapon. And because of that offenses stuff, then we never actually hear what people have to say and why they feel with it. You know, we don't want to hear because I've been taught to believe that I'm a victim. You, I've been taught to believe that you are not. So you gotta say I ain't interested in it.
Well, what I would say is that, and this is something you would hear within the more conservative fields, but one of the things that people I think people like to hear these sorts of conversations, and they like to claim victimhood, because at the end of the day, when you can claim victimhood, it stops you from actually like being held accountable. It stops you from holding on to responsibility for your actions. Like you hear that all the time. You hear it, for example, within the black community, man, he lived in the ghetto and so he had to sell drugs. No, you did not have to sell drugs. You chose to sell drugs. And there are consequences that come along with selling drugs. At the end of the day, when you are given certain freedoms, you're gonna have responsibilities that are gonna come along with that. And even when you don't have certain freedoms, you're gonna still have certain responsibility. So you may be in the ghetto, you may be struggling, but at the end of the day, you still have to make sensible and responsible choices, or else you're gonna end up in jail, or else you're gonna end up dead. So to me, a lot of women would like to claim victimhood because they do not have to take on the responsibility that comes along with being held accountable for certain things. At the end of the day, certain women gotta behave like, for example, you see a woman on Kevin Samuels on his show talking about, yeah, man, well, I have residual trauma from slavery, which I think is bare foolishness in my eyes, because none of the things that are going on
You
right
can't
now,
identify it.
a lot of things are going
She my
on right
last
now.
body is a slave. Shut up. Come on.
Like
You
you
could
can
talk about it. You can even learn about it, but you can't actually say for sure that my behavior is due to past trauma or whatever the case. You could think about it, you can theorize if you want, you can even suggest. But but you can't actually say, well, yeah, this is it for sure. That's a little difficult to do.
yeah. A lot
Yeah,
of people, a lot of people say that, man. Man, I had trauma from this residual trauma from slavery. Well, you get hit by a whip, you get hit with a cat knife. You even had a grandfather or a great grandfather that was involved in slavery that you had a conversation with. Like, what residual trauma from slavery you dealing with? What residual trauma? I want to hear. A lot of these people use that as an excuse, and she was using that as an excuse to deal with, for black women to treat black men, like the second class citizens. And at the end of the day, I can say this, and the same thing that Kevin Samuel said, that ain't none of my business. Whatever trauma you had, ain't none of my concern. And
yeah,
that's what
you
it can
gotta
come down.
you gotta find a way to cover these things. Otherwise, you walking around in a state of fear, you walking around in a state of trauma, and you don't actually address it. You would rather promote fear and promote project your feelings onto the rest of the world along with whoever else feels it. And nobody don't want to actually figure out the best way to move forward as I'm on this him. I can't remember his podcast. But a man in podcast said, we realize these women want to go up being a man, the privilege of being a woman, and the responsibility of
That's a nice way to put it. That is a nice way to put it, and I think that's a nice note to summarize on. But I think the core of it, the core of these false rape accusations, and the problems that come around them, and I will let you guys summarize on that. But I think the problem that comes around them is this notion that you want to believe, oh, you just have to believe women. When you start by just simply believing someone, then you incentivize dishonesty. If everything that I said, the world would have believed, like at the end of the day, I would tell bare lies. And that happened with the situation with the boy who cried wolf. But the reason why the boy cried wolf is because people believe that what he was saying was true. And he was getting a good lick for out of it. So to be at the end of the day, each and there should be, and this is what it is. Earlier on, I wasn't thinking about a solution, but right now it hit me on top of my head. At the end of the day, it's like this for me. There needs to be an approach for each and every accusation or rape. Each person needs to have their due process. It needs to go through the court of law, and the individuals need to be treated in a certain way, as in they are innocent until proven guilty and not the other way around. And to me, in terms of the court of public opinion, people should really, and it really should be emphasized that we should wait until there's some sort of verdict before we decide to jump on and say that this body needs to get fired or whatever. But you can't wait until the man get accused. Yo, Teague raped this body. Man, he gonna get fired, blah, blah, blah. And then the business the business is pressured. But how you know if the person right or wrong? You just know that the person accused the person. So to me, at the end of the day, people should really wait until there's some sort of verdict. And to me, some of these businesses need to get backbone. They need to say, listen, I am standing by my employee until it's proven in the court of law that this person did X, Y, or Z. That's just how I see it. So I will switch over and let you guys, because those are my parting words for false rape accusation. But I want to hear what you guys have to say.
All right, I'm gonna be bold and lead this off. Parting words. I think, as T pointed out, I think we need to improve the process judicially. I think also, as T alluded, the companies got a little more backbone. I think, as you specified earlier, social media is very heavy, so people are trying to do boycotts and whatever. But let me keep it real. Half these things don't even really work. So I like to see companies more stand by the employee and issue a statement saying, look, yes, the accusation has been made, but until so is proven guilty, he's presumed to be innocent. So I like to see that being done. I also like to see if the person has been found out to be, lying or creating a false accusation, I like to see some form of automatic punishment dished out to the person. And that's my thought on it. I'll let the bosses handle it from here on out.
Yeah, Chad, what you gonna say?
I again just go with the same sentiment. As far as I'm concerned, I believe that people should be dealt with accordingly. If you are alleged something, the law states, or I won't say the law states because I'm not a lawyer and I'm not versed in the law with specifics, but I do know some things, and I do know that you are innocent until proven guilty. So under the premise of innocence until proven guilty, you should continue to go ahead and do what you have to do, continue to make your livelihood, and you should not be what we just call the cancel culture right now. So until that time comes and you are proven guilty without a shadow of a doubt, then you should be seeing, like if you're a person that got endorsement deals or you got other business affiliations with X, Y, or Z, and it makes money for you then I understand that being taken away. That's only right. That's only fair. But when you are alleged and all of those things happen to you and it takes away from your livelihood, it causes another domino effect because no, you can't support yourself, you can't support your family, you go through depression, you going through something that you shouldn't have to go through because otherwise you would have been innocent, correct? So I just feel as if the punishment also needs to fit the crime. And then when we have people who are falsely accusing others, whether, as I said before, personal vendettas, um, people being vindictive, flying off the handle, understanding that the system is set up in such a way to believe them overall. I think that there needs to be deterrence created for people like that so that we can have the system doing what it's supposed to or designed to do, which is to see out justice. So the imbalances need to be balanced, and whatever we as men can do on our end to ensure that we stay out of that particular, I guess, way of life or issues or whatever or premises, whatever, we could do that. But serious dialogue needs to go into deterrence
Yeah.
because we are people that we stack out. Just like you said beautifully, T, that you are an individual that if you are believed before you even have to price check or fact check, again, the incentive is there to lie and to continually lie. So if you create deterrence for that follow that aspect, then you're gonna get more and more people coming forward with true situations because they know if I am proven wrong, I'm proven incorrect, I'm proven a liar, there are consequences for that action. And because there is none currently, that's why we got all of this wild card shit happening. So for me, my my point of view stays firm. We gotta find deterrents to lessen the percentage of the lying, vindictive, personal vendetta scenarios. That's it for me.
Yeah. Zane, any parting words, man?
Not a whole lot. It was here that we pretty much covered everything. Like I said from earlier, it should be cut and dry. If you falsely accuse anybody, you got a horse and lash. It's that simple.
Hmm.
What I want to say, which I feel I should not have to say, but I want to state emphatically that myself or nobody in this group condones rape of any sort. We all share and understand and feel empathy for any person who has ever been a victim of rape, and we don't co-sign any of that nonsense. Like I said, I don't feel that we should need to make that clear, but we're making it clear just in
Well,
case.
if anything, it's going to be made clear on in our episode on the 16th, because yeah,
Yeah,
we gonna go into detail about it. So that's another plug for our episode on the 16th. It's gonna be a middle ground for women and men to have a conversation about this, so that it's about understanding. I think that everybody on this episode, even on Kwame that's having technical difficulties, I think that everybody understands that rape is a serious thing. And if it is a case where somebody has violated you in such a way, do not be afraid to come forward. And don't let the fact that somebody out there falsely accuse somebody to stop you from coming forward. Do not allow that to be a deterrent. That's the truth. If you know that what you are saying is the truth, you should be able to speak it unapologetically, because whoever did the horrible thing that they did to you, they need to be held accountable. But calling somebody
Agreed.
rape, you see, rape, a false rape accusation, it is almost the level of damage that it could lead on somebody's life, because there's a level of permanence, and I don't think people understand that there's a level of permanence that people don't get. Like I see on I don't know if you guys ever pass across on Twitter, but on Twitter it happens a lot. People would just go and put a picture of a fella and say, "Yo, man, this body named T he raped so and so a girl. How do you know that that's true? No, my image is permanently damaged because that photo and that tweet is floating around. And once you put it on the internet, then they're taking it back.
Or
Because
you
somebody
may
done
get put
screenshot it.
on a bullet list.
Exactly. And people put that out there and
Yeah, it's crazy.
saying this. So once saying it, you know it gotta be true. So all of these things, all of these things come out, and once you put it out there, you could go and delete the tweet. But chances are, I don't know if you guys know about it, but there's a database that actually archives tweets. So once you pull a tweet out there, chances are it could be archived. People will go and archive it.
Let me speak directly here now for a sec. Aside from the topic, women need to stop using the internet as an excuse to be nasty and messy, and stop using it in the name of supposedly letting people know, or saving other people, or informing this person of this and that and third. Women are just being vindictive and dirty and using
that's what it is. That's what it is.
I'm tired of it. I had a whole big noise in a WhatsApp group must say a year ago when I remember the post of a fella from Snapchat and thought about how much womanizer he is and raping the boy or none of that. He just had more woman. However the case is, and like we've never heard of that. But my point being, Islandi man thought we must send him a picture and car number about the place and okay. And being me and one other fella and some of the women in our WhatsApp group was arguing about it. Because we said, nah, I don't appreciate that. I don't let owners use the internet. That ain't right. And the women saying, oh, you see, we don't want to co-signing ignorant behavior and blah, blah, blah. That's saving other women from going wrong here. I said, listen, that is nonsense. That man can get vagina, so it's don't see it. So let me start there. Aside from that, y'all using this false sense of justice to satiate this habit of enjoying news and spreading the tea like that. That's just a thing. I sorry to say, it may be stereotypical of me to suggest it, but frankly, I see it all the time, all the time. And it's like just this thing where it's just feeling me to do these. I feel it is almost like there's a pleasure involved in it. And being able to say that I know something, I can share this information and get like a sense of power is a power trip. I think that's just my observation. Cause I don't see men doing it. I ain't saying that no men don't do it. See, of course, there got some out there doing some foolishness. Yeah. But why don't see men posting? Even if a man got a woman that got a married man, whatever the kid that she married or whatever, man dealing with she point say, why don't see men posting conversation with she and he? Why don't see men like posting that conversation between he and some woman that's leading DM? And like, why don't see that kind of stuff happening? Why men don't open women when it comes to this? As a man get hurt, you don't see men posting Sade from wherever street.
Exactly, but it isn't encouraged. It isn't encouraged it isn't encouraged by women, and it isn't encouraged within male circles. And this is something that we need to do an entire episode on. But you see these men that does about the place simping, that does no fam. Are you doing X, Y, and Z so that I can impress A woman or B woman or Z woman, so that I could get a little bit, so that I could get a little bit of sex or a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Look, man, you gotta stop it. You are doing more damage.
Jackson.
Exactly, you are doing more damage to men that you understand. Like at the end of the day, men don't have no support, dog. A man say, yo, this woman falsely accused me of something, and people could be like, yo, fam, or people just get, or you trying to take away the voice from it. And men just be saying that, dog. Men. In a case where women saying that, men just be saying it and just be jumping on. They got some things that a man will come true, and more women agree with it than some of the men. It's so ridiculous. But
you got them. The brony points, man. You got that.
Yeah.
The men that is just as much feminist as the females. You got to. I ain't about choosing sides either. It's just a matter of like, okay, this fella, he, you just left that as that. You know, things like I have partners that we. I mean, look, he girl get a picture or he. I mean, I think it's a woman that took that picture.
Is it, man?
A man saying no cross there, so taking a picture of you and all kind of foolishness. And I just always remember. I can get this personal story. I just always remember. I went to Lemon Arbor with my good partner and his girlfriend and some other girls that his girlfriend bring. Right? We signed up with one another. He decided he gained 11 hours. You know, the side people's going to stay until 6 and then breathe. So he left from next to she and went outside and breathe. So he girl sat close to me or whatever the case is. But saw my phone ringing and I look, my girl calling me. Just a couple years ago. My girl calling me. Yeah. And I asked the phone because I know she know that I out. And when I out, I used to be like, I party again, enjoy myself. So they message, we calling me for unless it's emergency. Then I answer my phone, who are you out there with? I looking around like, what? You don't know? And it was just that my boy did not long move. Obviously the person that looking in or going on. That he woman here. But he won't come close to me because then other men around the group. It's only she and girls and she come close to me. But he done call or message she to tell she that I with a woman. I ain't gonna let you. Auntie, I ain't gonna let you right. This might sound ignorant. But I ain't gonna let after the look up and to see he looking at me or whoever it was. I know who the boy was. After the look up and see how the fling sang across our room. He face that business. But that sort of thing irritate me differently though. Like differently. I hate to see men moving like that. That's all set me differently.
Yeah.
So there's a
So
Barbie things I know and see. See, I don't see you.
Yo, Tika wants your question, right?
yeah.
I don't want show going too long. You take men as feminists has got ulterior motive?
But
Some.
a lot of them do.
Some.
A lot of them do. I ain't gonna say all. A lot of them do because they're trying. Look, as men, when you look at the whole dating thing, as men, you will realize that a lot of things that men do is to impress women. I don't get into that sort of impress women foolishness because the way how you see it, every sort of relationship that you can get into with any woman can be a marathon. You don't start off a marathon sprinting. That's just how you see it. So to me, any day them starting off with marathon running backwards, and eventually they're gonna trip over the same woman that they're trying to uplift.
I think the woman don't respect the woman. They respect no man that's selling out either.
No, they ain't gonna respect. They can call here, ally, and all sorts of different things, but they definitely ain't gonna see he as a man that them gonna want to be with. He's just another girl. But I can just end. I can just end the episode there. False rape accusations are horrible. I hope that we covered the topic well. We're gonna hear you guys next week when we do our Mother's Day episode. We are not 100% set on the topic as yet, but we're gonna let you guys know via our social media. So without further ado, I'm just gonna end it there. Till next week, guys.